Looking for colleges in your career field. First, remember that you received a book from the counselors and student services that will be helpful as you do this. Another way that you can research what colleges offer the career you're looking at is by using the MCIS school sort. So first, go to My Portfolio and your favorites and open up the career that you are considering doing. When you get there, you want to scroll down and go to the left-hand side and choose Programs of Study. Once you find Programs of Study, you may have to narrow it down further by looking at Programs of Study Direct Related or other programs of study. Once you've done that, you should be able to see a link on the left-hand side that says Minnesota Schools and U.S. Colleges and Universities, as well as Programs of Study. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Minnesota Schools. When I do that, I can choose and see different ones that offer that degree. If you choose U.S. colleges, you can then go by state. This is one way to go and look, but the school sort works a little differently in that you can be very specific on different things that you choose when you're going through and selecting that. So in order to do that, you want to go to Education on the menu bar and then choose School Sort. You're always going to be considering your undergraduate because you need to get your undergraduate first. So I'm going to choose undergraduate and then associates or bachelor's, and you should know what that is after researching your career. So I'm going to choose bachelor's, go continue. At this point, this is what I like about school sort, is you can choose more than one state. So if I want to check out Minnesota and South Dakota, I can do that. Minnesota has what we call reciprocity agreements with North Dakota, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. So that means you can pay a reduced tuition rate other than their out-of-state tuition. So choose whatever states you would like to. And my suggestion for all these other things is to not mark anything, because sometimes MCIS, I'll know there's a school available and it might be something you checked that will allow it not to come up. So I suggest your first time through, for sure, you don't choose anything in any of these. So I'm going to go continue, and again, I'm not going to choose anything here. Continue. And this is where you want to get to because we're going to choose your major cluster or your individual major. So if I'm thinking about being an accountant, for instance, I'm going to choose accounting, and that puts that major over here. Then I'm going to go continue. And really at this point, there are a lot of things you can go through and look at. So feel free to do that, but just for purposes of showing you, I'm going to go get my results. What happens then is I have a number of schools in those two states that have accounting majors. So I can go and I can look at some of those schools, or if it's too many, I can go back and I can narrow it down. So if I wanted to go to size and type and decide, well, you know what, I just want to look at public and select that and then go get my results again. Once you've got it narrowed down to schools that you're pretty sure you're okay with, I highly recommend that you save your sort. Save it so you don't have to go and redo it all if you need to get back into it again. Once you've done that, you can go and open it back up, and you see these stars mean that I've saved these as some of my favorite colleges. So if I decide that I look at St. Cloud State, and that's going to be another one of my favorites, I'm going to choose Save, and that will put it back in as one of my favorites. I'm going to go back to my sort here, and you'll see that now I have those three. The great thing about this is you can choose up to 3 schools to compare side by side. So let's say I want to consider those 3 and look at them side by side. So I'm going to check the box by them and go compare checked. And now I can see all the information to do my college grid for these 3 colleges and fill all that out. Check student body, compare that for all 3, the costs of all 3 colleges, and you can see they might be similar, but there are differences. So this is a great tool that MCIS has that you can use to look at and compare colleges in the career that you are considering.